Happy Tuesday, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Bravo Digest. I am your host, Giorgio. And today's topics are a little bit all over the place, but let's just go with it because it's Tuesday. We shouldn't have way too much going on. There's enough going on as it is. Anyways, some of the stories we're going to be talking about today is we haven't talked about her in a long time. Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann are back in the headlines, and this time it's because their parental fitness needs to be evaluated per the court's orders, and they have to pay for it. The other thing we need to discuss is where the breakdown in communication in Dorit and PK's relationship is. I watched Behind the Velvet Rope today, and there were some interesting things that came out of it. And also, I thought there was an interesting piece that came out of the podcast interview that Dorit and PK did with Alex Baskin. So we're going to dive into that. And yeah, the last story, I don't even know how I'm going to... This is so, like, I don't want to be a hater because I want everyone to be happy, right? But Alexis Bellino and John Jansen were on the red carpet. They spoke to Page Six, and Page Six asked the question, like, how does Shannon feel about all this? Is there a wedding coming up? Will we get an engagement ring upgraded from the promise ring? So we're going to get into all of what Alexis and John had to say about the Shannon of it all. All that in today's episode of the Daily Bravo Digest. Let's dive right in. Welcome to the Daily Bravo Digest, where I, Giorgio Takanakis, from Giorgio Says, takes you through today's top Bravo celebrity stories, and I give you a quick synopsis so you don't have to go searching for the information yourself. So let's dive into today's hot topics. All right, my friends, how are you? It is a beautiful Tuesday here. It's not super, super cold, so I will take it. The first story we're going to jump right into is Kim Zolciak is back in the headlines, as well as Kroy Biermann. Now, if you've been living under a rock, then you've missed all the relationship drama, the to and fro, the police cam footage. I mean, they literally had their own reality show playing out via TMZ, via police body cams. Those poor people at 911. Their phones were buzzing every 10 seconds when there was a scuffle happening at the Biermann residence. Nonetheless, it is being reported that Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann need to have their parental fitness monitored and evaluated, and it's got to come out of their own pockets. Yes, they have to pay to be evaluated as parents. I don't think this is really unheard of. I also don't think that the playing this out in the media is helping any court case or helping a judge who's not a reality TV show fanatic to look at this and actually take it seriously. But it's being said that court documents are saying that someone will need to make visits when Kroy and Kim are with their children. They'll need to speak with the children individually. They'll need to basically be a fly on the wall. And this will be interesting because we know through listening and watching some of the police cam footage, Kim and Kroy have both put their children in what I feel is a traumatic situation. I do feel like someone needs to kind of intervene, even if it's from an evaluation standpoint, so that there's something clear in terms of a direction for where the kids will go and where they go from here. All right, so moving on from Kim Zolciak and Kroy Biermann's family issues. Yeah, John Jansen and Alexis Bellino were speaking to Page Six, and Page Six asked Alexis, you know, what do you think Shannon's feeling about you and John's relationship? As we know, Alexis is a friend of for the new season of Orange County that's currently filming. And we also know Shannon Medore Storms is been going through a lot, right? She had the DUI, her and John Jansen were done. And then what seemed like minutes later, John Jansen and Alexis Bellino are exchanging promise rings and they are riding off into the sunset. I mean, is it a coincidence that Alexis Bellino's back on Orange County? I'm just saying. However, it started to get a little cringe because I did respect Alexis when she said, that's a Shannon question, meaning don't ask me how Shannon feels about this or how she's doing, because quite frankly, it's not her place to answer that. So I appreciated that. But here's where we start to go left, Alexis and John. You guys, you did a little much with the the question was, do you think that this promise ring will get upgraded to an engagement ring? And she's just kind of like, probably. And then they're like, oh, we're going to see a wedding on Bravo. She's like, probably. I mean, I don't know. Do you want that on Bravo? John? Probably not. I mean, who knows? Okay. I'm not sure at what capacity, is John Jansen also filming for Orange County? I would assume so, because if he's dating Alexis and Alexis is a friend of, and this is going to come up, there's no way in hell that I could sit here and think that they're going to not have John Jansen back. But look, I know this is a little bit tricky of a situation. Alexis and Shannon were not friends. They weren't even castmates on this show together at any given point. So it's not a girl code issue. I think it's just too close to home issue. If that makes sense. I don't know, you guys. I'm torn. I don't think that Alexis needs to not date someone that someone she wasn't friends with used to date, because they may know each other through other people or through proximity. However, I've always joked about that Orange County must be very slim pickings for the fellas, because I see all the same three men being recycled throughout Orange County. And it's funny to me, but hey, maybe John Jansen found his match and he'll be a completely different person with her, and maybe their relationship will thrive and end up in marriage. Who am I to say? All I know is I would love to know how Shannon Beador is doing with all of this. All right, so let's get into this final story. Now, I thought this was very interesting. I know I did talk about Dorit yesterday and said that maybe she has a future with a possible Fashion Police reboot. And a lot of you reminded me, as problematic as her mouth is, maybe it's not such a good idea. Very good point, my friends. Very, very good point. Today, though, we're talking about an interview that Dorit and PK did for the Bravo podcast that Alex Baskin hosts, and they talked about this robbery situation. Now, I'm not going to discuss the robbery again. We've discussed it at length. I'm sure all of you are tired about it. However, PK, in one part of this interview, calls out people who question whether or not this robbery was real, or why the robber would, leave Dorit's phone by the gate. And PK basically said, you know what? That's just what happened. You don't have to believe it. But he's like, look, we've been robbed 3 times. They caught the first guy that robbed us. The second time, I believe they still haven't caught that guy from that home robbery with Dorit being in the house. But then there was a third time, which Dorit did talk about on the reunion last week, where she said she went to Marshall's. She was trying to get box cards, These 3 men targeted her and stole $10,000 of cash along with her bag. Well, I guess they don't speak to each other, Dorit and PK, all too much, because in this interview, PK's on a rant and he says they ended up catching one of the guys that robbed Dorit at Marshall's. And Dorit's like, wait, what? When did that happen? I didn't know that. And I immediately stopped for a second and I went back and rewatched it, because it wasn't a put on. It wasn't like Dorit and PK doing their little bickering situation. It was really genuine on her part. She really was like, wait, what? It really shocked me that he wouldn't tell his own wife that one of the people that robbed her, that's causing her this trauma, that they had caught one of them, so that at least take a half a breath, because I've never been robbed, thank God, but I can't imagine, I've been through some traumatic shit, so I would the no resolve is probably what keeps the anxiety going in her, and for him to not tell her that is just, that's real shitty, PK. Not good, Bubba. That's all I've got for you on today's episode of the Daily Bravo Digest. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We got the mid-season trailer of Vanderpump Rules. They're still trying to loop us in, so I'll be recapping that for you guys tomorrow on the podcast. But until the next episode, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.